All right, hello guys, welcome back to the Goblin King YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be what to expect from the Percy Jackson show. What should you be expecting from this show, and what is the story? Again, the beginning, not going to be going into too much spoilers, but setting the stage for what the story is about. And for anyone that has never read the books, what they can expect. And maybe even for people that have watched the movies, what to not expect from what the movies did. So yeah, again, if you are excited for the Percy Jackson show, consider subscribing. We're going to be covering it the entire way through on its release in the entire first season. And I'm excited for the show. I hope you guys are as well. So the Percy Jackson series is going to be very similar to Harry Potter. If you look at the way Harry Potter started, you had a bunch of young kids going to this place that, you know, they didn't know, or Harry Potter specifically didn't know. And so Percy Jackson is very similar. Percy Jackson is this kid. He doesn't know anything about what's going on. And this world takes place in this idea of, it's still the current world, like our world, but there are still the Greek gods, and they are kind of in control. And I know there's some other stuff that eventually the other series go, but we're going to be talking about just this series and what it's basically telling us. And so we have this idea of the Greek gods, and they come down like in the mythologies, and they mate with humans. So you'll have this thing called a half-blood. Now, that's going to be kind of the main focal point. You're going to have this group of kids that are half-bloods. Now, the issue is going to be, and this is going to be the main part of the story, is tackling how are the relations between the gods and their kids. And that's going to be a big focal point of the story, really driving a lot of what happens in this show. And so we also have that idea, but you also have this idea of there are still monsters, and there's this idea of the mist, where all of our human brains, so like us, we're not half-bloods, we wouldn't be able to see any of this. It would be manipulated into something else so that our brains could comprehend it. That's going to be kind of a lot of how this story goes. But a lot of these half-bloods inherently kind of have this scent of being a half-blood, so the monsters come after them. And so there's this camp for half-bloods. So similar in Harry Potter with Hogwarts, you have Camp Half-Blood, which is for our half-bloods. And so that's where the story is really going to kick off for Percy. Is he is going to be figuring out that he is a half-blood, and how do you deal with that? How, and the struggles of that, while there's also an overarching thing going on with the gods that are creating a lot of tension and things of that nature. And so that's really going to be how we kick off the story. And they're going to have, again, our main three characters, Annabeth, Percy, and Grover. Grover is a satyr, and I won't get into Annabeth and Percy's backgrounds, as they're, you know, they are kind of reveals that are a little bit spoilery. They'll have a little bit of spoilers within them, so I won't talk too much about that. But they are kind of our main three cast. It's kind of very, again, similar to Harry Potter. And for you guys that are wondering why I'm referencing Harry Potter so much, it's just the easiest thing to compare it to. And Harry Potter is one of the biggest like medias of all time. So chances are, if you want to watch Percy Jackson, you've watched Harry Potter before. They're very similar in structure. They are different quite a lot when you start getting into it, but the setup's very similar. And so again, you might be thinking, okay, well, is this like a kid's story? Is this an adult story? What is this story? Who is this story made for? And in reality, it's made for everyone, right? Kids can enjoy this, but there also will be adult themes, right? You'll have a lot of things that are very mature, right? And this is a story, again, as they go forward with the show, it will only get more and more mature. This first season will be a bit, you know, it'll be a bit more like, how do I want to put this? It's a bit more not as mature in its themes. If you think about Harry Potter, for instance, like I made this reference when I did my Harry Potter reviews that I did on the channel. The first two books are more like kids' stories. That's really how I think the first like book or two is for the Percy Jackson series. They're not as dark and deep as the like next three after the first two. Very similar to Harry Potter. Again, the two have a lot of similarities, but you will be able to enjoy this show as an adult, or as someone like me that's in my 20s. You should enjoy the show if the show is done correctly. Another thing that will really draw people in, if you've never heard of the Percy Jackson story, but you really like Greek mythology, you really like that part of history, this show will go into a lot of those things, right? The Percy Jackson books really dive into a lot of cool Greek mythologies, creatures, monsters, gods, half-bloods, things of that nature. This is going to be a series that's rich in having a lot of those things that you will really enjoy if you're kind of a big Greek history guy. And again, I think the last thing I want to put on here is this is not a show that you should have to be preparing to get through a couple episodes before you're interested in the show. If Disney does this show correctly, this is a show that you understand the overarching big problem and what the story in the first season is going to cover right off the bat, right? Within like the first 2 episodes, which I believe there's going to be 2 episodes released during the premiere of the Percy Jackson release, you're going to know what the story's about. You're going to know the problems. You're going to be, hopefully we're going to be drawn into these characters and knowing kind of what they're all about within those first 2 episodes. So this shouldn't be something like Rings of Power, where it's like the first 2 episodes, you didn't even really know what was going on. And you really had to watch like 3 to 4 episodes before you even knew where the story was going. And even then, Rings of Power was really bad, but that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, this is kind of just my quick, everything you need to know about the Percy Jackson series going into it. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of talking points for maybe casual people that have never read the books. This is a series that very close to my heart, and I really hope they do this series well. But thank you guys all for watching, and stay tuned for more Percy Jackson content.